California's Gold is produced in association with KCET Los Angeles and is seen statewide on California Public Television. This series is endorsed by the California Teachers Association, the California School Boards Association, and the California Library Association. Hello everybody, I'm Huell. And you know how sometimes you get it in your brain that you want to visit a particular place? Well, for the past couple of weeks, all I can think about is going to Egypt. I can see the Nile, the pyramids, the mummies, the tombs, all of those old Egyptian things. In fact, right now, I've just come out of a travel agency here in my neighborhood. I've got my Egyptian brochures, and I think I'm just going to get on a plane and go to Egypt. Now, I know that in this series, California's Gold, we're not supposed to leave California. But in this instance, not only am I going to leave California, I'm going to leave the country. And if you want to come along on this adventure with me and you have a valid passport and you can take the time off, well, you're invited to come on along with me as we continue our search together for Egyptian gold. It is a beautiful country, and what makes it so wonderful is that everywhere you go, you're surrounded by all these pieces of ancient history from this ancient civilization. I love Egypt. Only problem is, we're not in Egypt. We're in San Jose, California. And here we are. We have arrived. Well, Jack, we're actually, we left Los Angeles in search of Egypt, but since we're working for PBS, our budget is somewhat limited, so we had to stop here in San Jose. This looks like Egypt. Tell us where we are.
We're at the Rosicrucian Egyptian Museum in San Jose, like you said.
Now, Rosicrucian, I've heard that word before, but I'm not sure I know exactly what it means.
Well, the Rosicrucians began in ancient Egypt studying metaphysical philosophy things. Through the centuries, they picked to choose different other philosophies, incorporated them into their studies, and that's what they do today.
So it's a study group of Egyptian philosophy?
Well, like I said, it began in Egypt, but then over the centuries, they picked and choose other philosophies. Seems to be just a way to live your life in harmony with others.
Is it a private group? Is it open to anybody?
No, anybody.
Sounds like one of those secretive fraternal organizations.
No secret handshakes or anything. Anybody can become a Rosicrucian, that's right. Just a series of studies. And they happen to own the museum. The gentleman, Mr. Spencer, who started the Rosicrucians here in San Jose, started collecting ancient Egyptian artifacts, and that's what you're going to see today.
Boy, we're here with the kids. There are lots of kids coming through here.
Well, they teach ancient Egyptian history in 6th grade in California. So each day we tend to bring 6th graders through and show them in person what they've been studying in the class.
Well, we're out of the 6th grade, but I think you can make it interesting for adults as well.
What I'm probably going to do with you today is make like it was an 8th grade class, okay?
Okay. Let's look at this for just a minute. What is this figure right here?
This is the goddess Tauret, known for fertility. That would give you the little bulging.
Pregnant.
Yes,
she's pregnant.
Exactly.
And these over here, these wonderful, there are 8 of them lined up on both sides here. What is this?
These are the basically the god Ra, the ram-headed god here. As there's many different gods in ancient Egypt, and we're talking about 3,000 years of history, and customs can change, so the gods would change too at times.
Boy, I tell you, now this is meant to look like a temple from where?
Well, ancient Egypt, maybe
but I mean,
Thebes, Thebes. Yeah.
Boy, this is beautiful.
It sure is.
It's a little out of place. It seems a little out of place in San Jose, but after all, this is California.
And anything goes.
And anything goes. So let's go inside. I'm feeling very Egyptian already. Okay, we are inside. The kids are already in here wandering around. This is Gallery
A.
Gallery A, and there it is right there. Looks like King Tut to me.
Well, now this is a replica of the sarcophagus of King Tut. Now, while we're in the museum today, I want you to know everything behind glass in the museum is real. If it's outside of glass like this, it would be a replica.
So this is a replica.
A replica of the famous King Tut.
But this is real, and boy, the kids are all gathered around. Look at this thing right here. This is a real, honest-to-goodness mummy.
That would be a real mummy. That's Ushabtis. Matter of fact, he was a priest 2,600 years ago in ancient Egypt. That's right. Wow. See how his arms are across his chest like that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a sign of royalty or priesthood. Okay?
And you noticed his tongue, right?
Yeah.
He's got a tongue in there.
He has a tongue. He's got fingernails. He's actually got hair left. They suck all the moisture out of that by using a special kind of sand for 40 days. And then what they do, they put like a tar from a tree on him to keep the moisture from getting back in.
How old is he?
2,600 years ago, he was a priest in ancient Egypt. That's the coffin he came to us in, and that tells us a few things about his life in hieroglyphics.
So these are the coffins that you found him in over here. Boy, these are beautiful, beautiful. Look at the work on the front of these things.
It's beautiful the way the colors have stayed too for the many years, many years. Wow. They would mix maybe minerals with water or vegetables with water and then use that to paint with.
Now, I don't know where to go. What is this over here?
Well, over here you have the animal mummies. Now, animal mummies are generally placed in your tomb like a vote of prayer or a candle. Now, if you died, they mummified your cat or your dog. That might be for companionship for you, but usually they're like a prayer.
So wait a minute, this was a fish?
That's a fish. Now, the fish may have been food for you spiritually in your next life.
And this was a gazelle.
There's a gazelle. Now, many people say, well, look, there's straw. Well, that's because in mummification, they take all the guts out, and they might just stick the straw in to give it the body, but it's real.
And there's a little, this looks like a bird of some sort over here.
Birds down there. There's a hawk next to that.
Wow. I've never seen.
And you see the little kitty cats up there?
Wait a minute, these are actual
cats?
Cats?
People say to me, why? Well, they can't be real. They're so thin. Have you ever seen a photograph of a cat with no fur, first of all?
And then you take its legs.
Well, you take all the innards out, take all the moisture out, you just kind of put the legs down, and you'll get a real teeny tiny cat like that.
So that big, tall, these are cats here.
They would be normal-sized cats. This one here looks like a kitten, but the other two there look like normal-sized cats. I know.
And what is this?
That's a big boy. That's the big boy.
What is this?
Well, and it's real, don't forget, the mummified head of a bull.
Oh my
Isn't that
gosh. Something? So this is an actual bull that came out of a tomb.
A tomb, most likely in the 1800s, early 20th century, possibly.
You stuck the eyes on for effect.
No, the ancient Egyptians put the eyes on. That's the eye of Horus, it looks like. Very symbolic.
So they would have put those eyes on there?
Yes. Wow. If you see some of the other mummies will have the same thing. Let's go over and look at a couple different mummies.
Are you all having fun in here?
Yeah.
You like the mummies, don't you?
Yeah.
Everybody likes the mummies.
Come on over here and I'll show you something.
We got our own little tour going here. Oh. Here's the mummy in the tomb.
In the coffin. What you have
over here.
The mummy is wrapped initially in gauze. Then there's a second wrapping, and then a paste put on that wrapping, and then they paint on it. You can see the mask, you can see the paint, and listen to this. They would put a good luck amulet inside of it, and you can see by that x-ray up there that this mummy right here has a good luck amulet still in its stomach.
There it is, right there. You
can
see the little round gold.
It would be an amulet, that's right.
That's located right on this mummy.
Inside the wrapping.
Inside the wrapping.
Yes.
So you haven't disturbed this one.
No, we didn't disturb him either. The mummies are as we got them.
Wow.
Now, you don't forget, that amulet may be a scarab beetle. Did you ever see the movie The Mummy?
Yeah.
Okay, scarab beetles do not eat flesh. But they are dung beetles. The Egyptians saw them popping up out of the ground at birth. Thought it was a god, so they deified the dung beetle, and they'd make one out of a rock or gold, put it over his heart for good luck, and on the back of it they may write, "Shh, only tell the gods the good things I've done in life." Huh? You see? And he still
got a question?
Yeah, I thought the dung beetles were like that they meant like they're supposed to push the sun out of the way.
I see what you mean symbolically. We're
Push
talking...
the sun out of the way.
Yeah, during the day. We're talking about 3,000 years of history, and customs can change, and the gods and the beliefs are constantly in fluctuation, if I could say
So
fluctuation.
you all are actually studying ancient Egypt in school, aren't you?
Yes.
Is it pretty interesting stuff?
Yes.
You don't think it's old-timey stuff? It's really kind of
I
neat?
actually think it's really neat.
Yeah. But what's it like to actually see this?
Really cool.
Because you've never really seen a mummy before, have you?
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Well, here it is. Now, what's next?
Well, I don't know what you want to see today.
Well, there's a lot to see in here.
Okay, take a look at this then right here. I told you about Usermantu, the 2,600-year-old priest from ancient Egypt. The man had an operation, had a metal pin put in his knee. If he got up, he could
Right
probably...
here.
That's right. He could probably outrun you or me if he got up.
So these are his legs up here.
Uh-huh.
The metal pin, that many thousands of years ago. Oh, there he is.
What?
That's the mummy over there.
Yeah, the mummy
with the
Usermantu that I
pin
showed you.
in his leg.
That's correct.
Was he all wrapped up when you got him?
He was not. Many times in the 1800s, people would go to Egypt and buy mummies, take them home and unwrap them, taking turns. And whoever unwrapped the mummy and got the golden amulet would win the game. We have a collection of ancient linens downstairs. We've just rewrapped him for modesty's sake. All the other mummies are as we got them. Him we rewrapped a little bit with some ancient wrappings we have downstairs.
Did they get the metal pin out?
No, we left it in there, hon.
Ooh, because I
left it in?
Well, the pin, that's part of him. It's been in there for 2,000 years.
I can feel his pain. I can feel his pain. His dead pain.
Now it's getting exciting because we've got a group of kids from the John Earhart Elementary School in Elk Grove, and look what we're getting ready to go into. What is this, Jack?
It's a recreation of the tomb of Kunam Hoteep. What he was a nomarch in ancient Egypt. That's comparable to the modern-day governor. He ruled a nome or a province along the Nile River. Take a look.
Kids.
I want to show them something before we move in, real quickly.
Yeah.
You see this up here, hieroglyphics? You know what it says? Look right here. If you enter here and you have good wishes, such as to bring offerings, Kunam Hoteep will speak well of you in the afterlife. But if you enter here with ill will or bad intentions, Kunam Hoteep will come down off the wall and strangle you like a goose.
Uh-oh.
You excited?
Oh, that means everybody needs to think good thoughts. Come on, let's go inside. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Look at this.
It is cold in here. It's cold. I think there's a ghost in here. This is exciting. No, there's not.
Now, is this the way the tomb would have actually been built?
Exactly.
Oh, look at this.
Exactly.
How could this stand up with the pillar gone?
Hold on, I'm going to tell you.
What is this? Is this this is the way the tomb actually was found?
Listen up, everybody. What right here is the offering chamber, okay? Now, this is based on 15 different tombs in a little Arab town called Beni Hassan in Egypt, okay? I've had people come through here recently who have been to Beni Hassan, and they say that this is exactly like the real ones. Over here, you have an offering table for your spirit in the next life, but maybe there's a war or there's illness and you cannot bring food. Look over here. They carve Kunam Hoteep and they believe the spirit will come to life, so they put food in front of them, loaves of bread. There's pork, and there's fish, and there's wine. Wine is a drink of the nobility. You see that down here? Oh, guess what? If wine was for the rich, what do you think the poor people drank? Water had too many germs, too many parasites. It was the job, that's right, it was the job of the woman of the house, the mommy, to make beer, barley beer. The alcohol would kill all the germs, and everybody'd be happy, okay?
Now, what's back here? What is this?
That's where you put the offering, hon. And then the spirit comes up, enter through a false door, and come down and will imbibe.
What is this? Is this the actual...
Now, in your next life, your spirit lives in the mummy. But if your mummy is damaged, your ka will move up here and live in this carving right here in this room called a surdab. Now remember, in ancient Egypt, this doorway would be walled over with little slits or holes because this is the only area that you could come into.
All right,
but why don't we go down to the mummy vault?
Go on up.
Come on down the steps here.
You're going ahead of me because I don't want to...
Go down the steps of the mummy vault. I'll most likely follow you.
Oh my gosh.
Let's go down to the mummy vault. I'll most likely follow you down here.
The
And you see how vivid the colors are down here.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
This is the mummy vault.
That's right. Mummy goes into a wooden coffin, then it gets placed in something like this, a 2,000-pound red granite sarcophagus. And the whole thing goes into the ground and covered up. But I told you guys upstairs about amulets, good luck amulets wrapped up inside the mummy. Robbers will break in, they'll dig down, they'll find this in the pit, and then chip away at one corner of it like that.
So they would have broken in here to
Yes.
get all the gold jewelry?
That's correct, exactly.
Look at the way the walls are decorated.
These are all the workers that Kunam Hoteep needs to make his life the exact same. Oh, yes. Nut, the goddess Nut. You know what it was believed? It was believed that each evening she would swallow the sun and give birth to the moon. And then in the morning, reverse that process. I know.
So the actual room would always be colored this brightly, would always be painted.
Yes, but, hold on, I'll get you in a second, son.
He's got lots of questions.
They do. But, you know, many times if you went into an ancient tomb, the air has never been in there for 4,000 years. You open up that tomb, maybe the paint might start crumbling right off the wall. But sometimes if it was different, made of different materials, the paint would stay there, this vivid. Yeah, you have a question, son?
Yeah, what's that bird up there?
You want to know what that bird is? This hidden behind the wall is the god Horus, okay? Now, the Egyptians would hide things behind the wall. I told you about the robbers that break in. So the Egyptians would hide things like this. Sometimes the robbers would break the wall like this, looking for things behind it. And if they had found that, they would have taken that, along with the amulets we talked about earlier.
Would they get caught?
Well, sometimes.
So wait a minute, the grave would have actually been down
That's
under
correct.
here.
Yeah, we just brought this up here to show you. Normally it
Just
would
to
still
show
be down
what the
there.
tomb actually looks like would be made of this heavy
Granite.
granite.
And look, here's some more false doors for your spirit, your ka, to exit and enter.
Okay, we've broken away from the kids for just a minute, and look who I ran into. Two honest-to-goodness tourists. Now, you weren't heading for Egypt the same way we were and ran out of money, were you?
No, but we've been to Egypt. In 1997, I was there, and really coming here and seeing this place just brings back that trip. This is a fascinating place.
It's like Egypt, isn't it?
It is like Egypt, and many of the exhibits out here, although they're replicas, some of them, seeing King Tut's mummy encasing there, it's a pretty close replica.
How did you find out about it?
Well, we had an old brochure from 10 years ago, and we dug it out of our files, looked at it, and said, let's give it a try, because we were heading up this way, up to Berkeley.
Well, listen, fellas, I guarantee you nothing's changed in here in 10 years. 10 years is nothing in a place like this.
Especially with Egypt, you know, when you go back and you think of the pyramids being built 4,500 years ago, it's really a fascinating place. I would recommend other people coming and checking this out.
Okay, we have left the tomb, and our kids behind us. There are more kids here. There's sixth graders all over the place.
Yeah, they teach ancient Egyptian history in 6th grade. We get 6th grade classes all day.
Now, we're at another gallery now.
Gallery B.
Gallery B.
There's 4 galleries plus the tomb. This would
that
be
has
B.
these amazing big stone, what do you call these things?
Well, although they're reproductions, it could be a stela. Look at this one specifically over here. I think you'll find this interesting.
We still got our flashlights on from the tomb. They're kind of fun to work with a flashlight, aren't they?
Now, although it's called the Egyptian Museum, we do have other civilizations represented, like Mesopotamia. This is the law of Hammurabi. Now, 282 laws on here. There were different city-states all along here. People had to know what the laws were. They wrote them down, put them on these stelas. 282 laws. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. You've heard of that?
This is on here.
It is on here. Also, let me go a little further. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But if you're a nobleman and rich and you put out the eye of another nobleman, well, then you're going to have your eye put out. But if you're a nobleman and put out the eye of a poor person, you're going to be fined 10 minas of silver. So the law was not equal even back in Mesopotamia.
Now, this is a replica.
Yes, sir. Everything behind glass would be real. Outside would be a replica, but they're
Boy,
beautiful.
what a
If you can see the beautiful cuneiform writing on here, it's magnificently done.
Who made all of this stuff? Are these all locally?
Craftsmen throughout the states, yes.
Because this is beautiful.
And of course,
beautiful.
right behind you is where most of the students do come because it's a replica of the Rosetta Stone, world famous. The original is in Great Britain. This is about 3/4 size, and students are usually given a little talk about this.
Wow, you've got a whole, this just goes on and on and on.
Here's some of my favorites right in here.
Mummy cloth.
Well, right here.
And what are these?
This is some of my favorites, ushabtis dolls. They're placed in your tomb to be your servants in the next life. There was a point in Egyptian history when you died, they killed your real servants and put them in the tomb with you. Then they stopped that, started putting these dolls in to represent your servants. If you had 10 servants in life, you'd want 10 dolls in your tomb.
So these dolls were all found in tombs,
Yep.
and they all represented servants.
Basically servants, that's correct.
Look at these. These are
Aren't they
beautiful. Now
magnificent?
these look like they're
wood.
made of wood.
But most of them would be made more of faience. It's a crushed quartz, heated up in a mold, mass-produced. Whatever other minerals are in there with the crushed quartz will give it the different shades of blue.
Boy, look
Aren't
at
they
this
magnificent?
blue one. This is just
Aren't they?
beautiful. Yeah.
You can't get craftsmanship like that now.
All right, now you're bringing us up. You said this was one of the favorite areas
Well,
up here. Is this what you were talking about? No.
well, he's quite nice, but over here is what I was talking about specifically. The ladies specifically enjoy the jewelry a real lot here. You'll see it's magnificent. Again, a lot of it's faience, that crushed quartz. You see how beautiful it is. Do you remember I talked about the scarab when we were down with the mummies? Okay, it was a representation of a dung beetle. There's a real dung beetle right there on that pin, no longer moving. And a lot of beautiful scarab representations of such.
These are the things the kids all knew about.
Yes, they
from
did.
the movie, The Mummy.
Well, in the
and-
movie they came alive and ate flesh. They don't really, but you can see some beautiful representations. This one over here,
Oh,
this beautiful
look at
blue one with
this.
the wings, magnificent.
Now, where would this have been found?
Well, many of these would have been wrapped up as amulets inside the mummy. Some of them could have been jewelry. Mostly in tombs. That's why we're so lucky with the Egyptians as a vanished civilization. These artifacts were under the ground, under the sand, no air, no water, thousands of years. We were able to keep them.
Now, today, you wouldn't be able to acquire things
No.
like this anymore.
No.
This wouldn't be politically correct.
No, they found
to take them out of the tomb and bring them to a museum in San Jose.
Not at all. They found Cleopatra's palace under the water. They can bring things up and study it, put it right back down. 10,000 mummies, gold, with the gold all over them they found. A cemetery for rich people. They allow the scientists to take 5 out, study them, put those 5 back in and don't touch the
That's
rest.
in today's
Today.
archaeological world.
Exactly.
Back when these artifacts were being put together in this museum, the accepted way of doing it was you would buy them from dealers, you would acquire them any way you could.
Just as a tourist would get souvenirs in present day. Also, the expeditions by the British or the French would go in and open tombs up and take those back. Napoleon was the first collector. His armies went through and found all these wonderful things. Like
and
the
brought
Rosetta
them back
Stone.
to France.
Yes, like the Rosetta Stone. Then they lost them to Great Britain in a war, so that's why the British have many of the most beautiful and biggest ones now.
Well, thank goodness we have things here in San Jose.
Very lucky.
Ladies, what are you looking at here in the case?
Jewelry.
I told you. I told you.
You like that jewelry, don't you?
Yes.
You're looking at it too. What impresses you about it?
Well, the differences between the way that they made them then and the way they make them now. It's pretty interesting.
Look at these blue ones right here. What is this, Jack?
Again, if you see blue artifacts, generally faience, a crushed quartz and then heated up. I stand on either side of the glass, you guys. Either side, you'll be able to see real good. Come on
What
in.
are we looking at here?
Well, I want to show you a recreation of the first pyramid. Come on in, you guys. That's it. Come on in.
Now, this doesn't even look like a pyramid.
No,
It's
it was the
not-
first pyramid. You're right, it didn't have the straight sides. A step pyramid built for King Dozer. King Dozer and 4 members of his family were mummified and buried in here. Thousands of years later, when archaeologists found this, all they found was one mummified foot. Grave robbers had gone in thousands of years ago, took everything of value, including the mummies. One of them bumped into a wall, a foot fell off and laid there for thousands of years. But look at this now. This was the first building to be built entirely of stone. It was the first sporting arena. Look at these 2 little buildings out there. 2 slanted ones. Look like the golden arches of McDonald's. You guys see them out there? After King Dozer had been pharaoh for 30 years, he had to run around these 2 buildings 42 times during something called a Sed festival. If he could do it, if he could run around these 42 times, he could continue to be the pharaoh.
How old is this? Was this
4,000 years ago.
So this was the first stone building
Yes.
built in the world?
Yes, before this, most people used mud bricks. The first all stone, that's correct.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
And it doesn't look like a pyramid.
No, not with the straight sides. This one has the step sides, yep.
Well, that's it. We went in search of, we wanted to visit Egypt. We couldn't get all the way to Egypt, but we did the next best thing. We found a little bit of ancient Egypt right here in San Jose. And Jack, we want to thank you for the tour.
You're very welcome.
This is a wonderful museum, the Rosicrucian Egyptian Museum, which has been here in San Jose since the 1930s to serve us all, including sixth graders. And this is time for me to thank all of our sixth grade friends from Elk Grove for allowing us to spend the morning with you. We've had a great time looking at the replicas and the artifacts from ancient Egypt that are very much a part of California's gold. Goodbye, everybody. Bye. Old classic, our visit to the good old Egyptian Museum in San Jose, a place that's well worth a visit. And if you'd like to go on this particular Egyptian Museum adventure again, share it with family or friends, or perhaps donate a copy to your local school or library. It's available on DVD. All you have to do is call 1-800-266-5727, and we'll be glad to send it to you right away.